Hey, Michaela, got a question for you.
Sure.
What's the worst piece of advice your mother has ever given you?
Oh, this is easy. She luckily doesn't listen to podcasts. I can say this. But she's obsessed with worrying about what other people think.
It's a generational thing, isn't it?
Ah, terrible. To the point, that at my father's funeral, all she could think about was there was a bottle of alcohol that everybody drank that was coming. So her biggest fear that morning was making sure Auntie May, that she hadn't seen in 100 years,
had her favourite schnapps or something.
Yeah. That was her level of how much she thinks of other people.
Holy moly.
And when I, was in high school and I had boyfriends, I could never get off at their bus stop. I always had to go home and then go back.
What?
Even though the bus went straight past their house. Because of what people would think.
Wow.
Yeah. But
what
anyway.
a life to live, huh?
Yeah. So that's taken a long while to shake.
Don't do that to your kids.
No.
Welcome to the Tradies Business Show, helping you get off the tools and into true business ownership, so you can spend more time doing the things that matter most. Now, here are your hosts, Warwick Bidwell and Michaela Clark.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Tradies Business Show, where we actually do worry about what our listeners think, Warwick.
Yes, so we don't care what everybody else thinks except our listeners.
That's right.
And
hopefully they think we're half all right.
Well, yeah.
Because they're still listening.
You could let us know what you think by going to iTunes and writing us a review. So leave us a star rating. That's awesome. Everybody gives us 5 stars, of course. But anyway, being a little less self-conceited there, is please leave a written review. Even just one sentence. Tell us the best thing you get out of the show, or what you love about Waz's jokes, or whatever it might be. It's probably not that.
Please, stop telling jokes. We'll be fine as well.
What's wrong with my dad jokes? My daughter thinks I'm hilarious, but she's only 4.
And let us know if you like the top of the show questions. I'd love to know.
Give us some.
Yes.
Actually, help Wazza out. You can help Wazza out by giving him some questions to ask Michaela, so that I can put her on the spot more, because I'm really getting quite tired of bearing all to our audience. And I think you're tired
today.
Well, I think our listeners are tired of it too. So it's a pretty good segue into today's episode, where we've got a bit of a different thing going on. It's a hot seat, and it's a real tradie story, kind of all rolled into one. So we grill somebody and tell them how good they are, all in the same episode.
That's right.
So this guy started as a man in a van, and you'll hear his story, and he's built his business up to the point where he now has 2 businesses, essentially. 13 staff. He corrected me. I thought it was 12. Multi-million-dollar turnover, top-ranked franchise in the country. And really, he's very humble and understated. He doesn't talk himself up. And it's a bit of a theme with Andrew. And I guess some of the challenges that he sees in his business that we nailed him on today is stemming from that whole thing of worrying what other people think. Just like your mother.
Yes. They should hook up.
Maybe they could give each other some counselling. No, we don't want him taking your mother's advice, because she'd be telling him that you should worry about what other people think. And really, you shouldn't.
That's right.
So I'm going to stop talking crap and bearing all, and we're just going to listen to our interview with Andrew from Midas and Accelerate Auto Electrics.
Let's do it.
And welcome to the Tradies Business Show. We have another hot seat for you today, listeners. We have Andrew James from Midas and Accelerate Auto Electrics, or Midas Maroochydore, up on the beautiful Sunshine Coast. So welcome to the show, Andrew.
Good morning.
Good morning, mate. Everyone knows it's morning now. And we have Michaela with us as well. She's decided to actually record with us today.
Yes.
I know, you're not swanning around the countryside being some professional speaker at, big blogging events and stuff?
No, not today. Okay. Here with you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so come down a notch. So today's all about you, though, Andrew, and thank you for submitting willingly to the process of the Tradies Hot Seat. I know you're excited about us grilling you on air, mate.
Can't wait.
So, for the benefit of our listeners, Andrew, just tell us a bit about your backstory, your business, maybe you personally. What's been your journey to be the entrepreneurial auto industry business owner that you are today?
You make it sound impressive.
It is.
All right. So, yeah, I've always been an auto electrician by trade. Did my apprenticeship 20 years ago. always worked for myself since I finished the apprenticeship. Never really been good at getting told what to do. Always want to do things myself, and probably not to my advantage. Moved to the coast 6 years ago, started off mobile again, and then I pretty much decided a mechanical workshop was a good idea. So I opened a Midas franchise, busiest intersection in the middle of Maroochydore. We've run that for 3 years, and at the same time growing the auto electrical business to I think probably the biggest one on the Sunshine Coast at the moment. And yeah, the Midas is going really, really well. We're actually 12th in Australia now out of 80 stores, so in their internal ranking. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, as for the backstory for me, I think just trying to grow from a tradie in a van to a business owner has been a bit of a challenge, and still working on that every day. And that's pretty much it. I don't know. A bit scared sitting here with you, Warwick. I've listened to some other guys getting grilled, and I feel like
you know what's coming, mate.
Yeah, I'm scared. So
we'll be gentle for about 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Just to make you feel relaxed. And
Yeah.
lull you into a false sense of security.
Yeah.
So you did start out though as a man in a van, didn't you?
Yeah, definitely. Finished my apprenticeship and then just in a van by myself on the Magic Mile doing car yard work. So pretty much started at the bottom of business ownership in the auto electrical game, I reckon you'd call it.
Mm-hmm.
Doing car yard work all day and dealing with car yards. But yeah.
And how did you find that, mate? Was that fun?
Taught me a lot. Taught me how to get paid. Taught me just common problems and also working fast. From the beginning, I realised systems were important, as car yards don't like to pay. They're hard to get money out of, so get in, get out, and get the job done. And so that's always been a thing I think I've had. And yeah, it's worked well as a small guy, but then as a big guy. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't say big guy. As a business owner with a lot of staff, trying to understand that things take time is sometimes not quite my strong point. And I'm sure you'll spend the rest of the hour telling everybody what my other strong points are.
We may ask some questions about those things, but I guess today, to cut in before Michaela there, this will be a hot seat, mate, so we are going to grill you a bit. Just from a place of love and care, mate. We want to help you here on the show, because that's what we do for tradies. But it's also a bit of a real tradie story in there as well, because you have achieved quite a degree of success. You've started as a man in a van. You have a number of employees. You've got 2 businesses. You're, number 12 in Australia, which is no mean feat, mate. You're up against some big metropolitan franchises as well. So, there's a couple of elements to today's show, and I think there's going to be a heap of great stuff that you're going to be able to share with people, mate, not to put any pressure on you.
Can't wait.
So don't stuff it up.
Yeah.
So one thing I was really interested in is what made you go to a franchise model with Midas and go down that path when you said, you don't like people telling you what to do and stuff like that. What was your motivation behind that?
All right. So
would you like us to press pause, mate?
No. My arm was pretty much twisted behind my back. There was a fantastic workshop, location, size, all the rest of it. Warwick knows it. It's pretty hard to say no to. Unfortunately, the last 2 owners in it had gone bust, and the rent hadn't been paid in a long time.
Right.
And the only way I can convince the owners to give it to me was to bring on basically some security.
Right.
So the franchise gave them the tri-party agreement. I don't know if everybody understands how it works, but basically Midas back my lease, so if I can't pay, they pay. So that was sort of what the owners were looking for, somebody big to come in. And so the little guy with no money had to get somebody big behind him.
Yeah.
So that was pretty much why I did it. I chose Midas purely because there was no other Midas franchises on the Sunshine Coast, and I felt the name was mine to make as my own, rather than being tarred with the same brush like everybody else was sort of in there except for Midas.
So with the workshop having 2 people, go broke before you, did that scare you at all, I'm going into this premise and 2 other haven't worked? And what was your mindset around that? Because that would probably frighten a lot of people off.
Yeah, I guess the previous owner, I was doing work for them as the auto electrician, and they weren't from a trade industry background, and obviously I don't want to get into it, but I saw how it was run and obviously felt I had something different to offer. And it just seemed like such a good opportunity. It was one of those things I couldn't see why it had gone bust, other than things that I would bring differently.
Yeah, great.
Great location, great spot, all the rest of it. So everything was there. It just needed a real life tradie to run it.
Yep.
So we got off the ground, got it doing quite well, quite busy, making no money, but turning over good dollars. So that's my skill. making no money.
We'll talk about that too, mate.
Yeah, but yeah, it's going quite well, and bills are getting paid, staff are getting happy. Big lot of staff, everybody's busy all day, every day. So
cool. And so what's the size of the business now, like as far as team and that goes?
The Midas size, I got 3 mechanics on the floor, 1 apprentice, which is actually, he's on the floor full time now. He's almost 3rd year now, so we'll call him half mechanic. And I've got 2 front office staff. It's basically running under full management now, so I can concentrate on my old electrical business again. And so yeah, 5 staff and a bit of back office stuff as well. Some part timers taking care of the paperwork.
And you've just had a holiday too, mate, for the first time in 6 years, I believe. Well, the first time you've been able to go away for, 10 days or something?
Yeah, we went to Fiji for 10 days and I switched my phone off, so that's pretty exciting.
And the business was still there when you came back?
They actually did quite well.
They did better than when you were
there. As it's been pointed out to me, the place runs better without me, so I'll take that as I've done well setting it up. So
yeah,
it's a bit
nice.
It's a bit hard to be told go away, you just make a mess of everything. But then by the same token, when you step back from it and realise that that's what you're trying to achieve, it's a good thing.
So what are some of the things, and that's a really nice segue into putting the boxing gloves on now, mate, is what are some of the things that you make a mess of when you are around Andrew?
The Andrew specials.
Well, yeah, I was going to bring that up if you didn't.
I do a bit of networking, and obviously I know a lot of people, and I'm, when you're standing there with somebody and they say, can you fit my Red Arc SBI controller, that I know somebody
I'll be in later this week, mate.
Yeah. And so, I'll be out and I'll speak to somebody. I'll say, yeah, no worries, mate, we'll do it tomorrow morning. And then the customer loves up on the door, and they're obviously somebody I want to get looked after, and we're fully booked, and my manager looks at me and says, what the hell have you done? So that's probably one problem. And I guess, I get along with the guys. I want the guys happy, and sometimes I'm probably a bit too lenient on the guys. Like I say, I'm quite good at getting it all up and running and all the rest of it, but then refining it's probably it'll just work kind of a guy, and rather than a systems and processes guy.
Which is fine when it's just you doing car yard work, you're the man in the van type scenario, which is the case for a lot of our listeners as well. And while there's a lot of hard work involved, it really is only you to answer to and from. But when you start involving staff, and I think, what do you guys got now, like 10, 12 team members or something like that?
I think there's actually 13.
13, lucky 13.
Yeah.
So that's quite a number of people who all have to interact and follow systems, and then you come in and do your people-pleasing stuff of, your Andrew specials, as we love to call them, that really does stuff everything up. And doesn't set a good example for people, does it?
Yes. Thanks.
You're welcome.
I'm leaving now.
Job done.
So how can we get rid of Andrew specials then? So we're here about solving problems, not just
making you feel bad.
Yeah.
We've dug a big hole.
Yeah.
just not do them?
I say, so basically, I
know what your wife would say.
The biggest challenge I have is, and I think anybody in business understands this, is everybody wants to deal with you. You're the business owner. And growing the way I have, I've got a lot of long-term clients that are used to Andrew in the van and expect to deal with Andrew, and don't quite understand that dealing with Andrew is probably the worst thing they can do, and what they're much better off doing is just following the systems that we've put in place, following the process, dealing with the manager and going through the whole system, and it coming to me at the very end, probably before the bill's presented, or if there's a decision to be made, and then the Andrew special can come in then. So trying to detach yourself from the customers is a struggle, and trying to convince them that, I'll be sitting at these networking meetings and we'll bring our car in tomorrow, and turning around and saying to him, yeah, sure, no problems, call my guy tomorrow morning and he'll sort it out, or I'll get him to call you. And then they feel like you're just putting them in the box with everybody else, where rather they're going to have a better experience and probably a better outcome than involving me in the mess.
And it's probably about saying that. Like, look, I really don't know what's, happening in the workshop this week. But if you give these guys a call, I'll let them know that you're going to call so they can look after you or something like that. But actually, making out that it isn't going to be as good an experience if you organise it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you kind of don't need people around you getting paid exorbitant wages if you're going to step in and do all that stuff yourself anyway. Yeah,
the other system we've come up with is we now have an Andrew special book. So every time Andrew pulls an Andrew special, it gets written in the book, so that everybody can, when somebody loves up and says, I spoke to Andrew, there's a book with it written down
Nice,
which
mate.
is working quite well.
Yep.
So
Find a system to solve the people issues.
yeah.
But I do want to stick with this for a little
Great.
bit because, and I know you love it when we have these conversations, mate. But this whole thing of people wanting to deal with the business owner is it hobbles the growth of so many businesses, especially trade businesses, because nobody can do auto electrics as good as you, can they?
Oh, definitely not.
Right. So, and that's the same for our plumbers and brickies and tilers and everybody listening to the show is you do what you do because you're really good at it, and that's why you've built a good business. And most of our listeners would probably have the same thing of a lot of business comes from word of mouth and repeat custom because, you know, you're great at what you do. And so it's really hard to let go of that identity as being the guy that does the fixing and the building stuff and become the guy that owns a business that does that for people and not have those personal relationships in the same way that you have previously. So where do you think that comes from, mate? Like, for you, but maybe even for tradies at large, like, why is it so hard to let go of doing the stuff, doing the thing? You know, the plumbing, the electrical, whatever.
I think it's what I've always done. I've just always been the guy that could fix the cars that no one else could fix. Here, I'm talking myself up now, but it's my failing at the moment, so I'll turn it back. But yeah, that's always been me. I sort of always worked for myself. I've never been always small, so I'm the guy who had to fix it kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And doing the car yard work and the contracts and all the rest of it, I couldn't just say, I can't fix this one, send it somewhere else, because you feel like you're losing cars for the, you know, whatever.
Yep.
So that's always been my thing is just trying to work it out and get it done. And then the reason why I've had to distance myself from it is I've actually had a neck injury, and crawling around on the dashes is I'm out. I can do a day of that and a week of pain. So
yep.
I've had to sort of distance myself from that. But even now it is hard. I'll see my boys working on a car and I think, 2 minutes with that and I'd fix it, which is probably just in my mind. And reality is I'd get an hour into it, leave it in a million bits and walk away from it. But yeah, I know, we all back ourselves as tradies. You're the fix-it guy. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I'm used to fixing.
And I suppose from my perspective and Michaela's perspective is if you can translate that fix-it mentality to being the business fix-it guy, that's where the real kicker is. Because you start applying that fix-it mentality to how do I fix my balance sheet? How do I fix my marketing? And it's a different skill set. It's not the stuff that you've always worked on. But I think that's where I think tradies have a fantastic opportunity is taking that real problem-solving mindset and applying it just to a different set of problems. Because that's where, you know, if you can start doing that stuff, that's where you start getting the results that you guys are obviously getting.
Oh, Warwick, I think that's the golden nugget, isn't it? But, yeah, I still look through the window and look at the car and think I'd rather be fixing that. So, yeah.
So one thing a lot of our listeners struggle with is going from being the man in the van to actually having a team and managing people. How have you found that transition?
Hard.
What's the biggest challenge you find with managing people now? Or ever?
Oh, yeah, you should see what Warwick's saying. The biggest challenge is not having mates. Trying, you know, at the moment, not at the moment. I'm definitely improved it now. But a year and a half ago, I had a workshop full of mates who pretty much were walking all over me.
Yeah.
And that's what you do. You spend your whole trade-based time sort of developing relationships with everybody. If you've got maybe one other employee in your van, which we're as much friends as anything else, and that all works cool. But then when you've got sort of 3, 4, 5, 6, it's a fail. And I've had to learn that the hard way. But it got us to where we are, and it's been a challenge. But I think in the tradie thing, you've got to get along with everybody. You know, it is a referral-based system, be it painters, plumbers, whatever you are. And so you get in the mindset of trying to get along with everybody. And then when you employ someone, trying to distance yourself from that. And Warwick's sitting here smiling because, you know, giving them expectations and basically job descriptions to fulfill. And when they don't do it, sort of being able to kick their ass on it with some, I guess, some information behind you to back it up. So, you know, keeping records of, I don't want to use the word staff-ups, but times where they didn't perform the way you expected them to, and keeping records of that so you can physically sit them down in one of Warwick's team meetings and actually bring that to their attention rather than just an off-the-cuff comment and think that it's getting through their head when yeah, sometimes I think us business owners are about as bad as women in just giving out signals and expecting everybody to understand it. And not
You've just
structure.
upset about 50% of our listening audience, mate. They're never going to bring their car to you now. They're as bad as women.
Oh, no. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like,
they think a little differently.
Yeah, but it's more just, I think that just a quick comment to an employee when they do something, and I think that actually, and it doesn't change the behaviour. The physical sit-down meeting thing, which really doesn't come from the tradie business.
Yeah, and so I know Warwick has been working a little bit with your team lately, with team meetings and sit-downs and things like that, and putting processes in. How have you, I know this has just started, but have you started to see a change in your staff behaviour and performance? Because Warwick's so awesome, but besides that point, but actually putting in these systems in place.
Yeah, this could either go really well for me or really badly when he gives feedback on air.
You edit it, so I'm sure this question might just go all together.
Start with team meetings are an absolute waste of time. No. In all honesty, exact opposite. And even to the point of I've found the staff have come to me and they're looking forward to the next team meeting. Like his what would you like sharing thing is quite wanky, to use his word. I think I can repeat that.
You can.
And if you want to know about the team meeting, we actually recorded, an example of a team meeting in the previous episode, which was episode number
84. It's like a bingo call, wasn't it?
Yes. So if you want to have an example of how to run one of Warwick's team meets, actually, this is going to be really bad. I haven't listened to it yet.
Oh, hello.
Uh-oh. I can't actually say.
It was quite a fiery one, but at the time, at the time I was cringing, and looking back on it 2 or 3 weeks later, best thing that ever happened.
Right.
Cleared the air. I guess my strongest personality in the workshop, and probably the 2 strongest personalities in the workshop had a go. And definitely resolved it and had a cuddle, and they've never worked so well together since. So it was a good thing. And I've had other sort of staff members sort of, really into the team meeting. So it's been good. It's been a good thing. It's a bit...
Because I'm going to out you here a bit, mate, is you've had a bit of turnover of people in your business in recent years, haven't you?
Ever since I brought you on.
just we were just getting rid of the weeds.
Yeah. Back to the mate thing, and... what the turnover, it was a good thing. Definitely, it was a good thing. I brought on managers that probably were a bit more of a hard ass. Well, definitely, that's been our thing. Is I was running it all. We were all getting along. We were mates. I wasn't getting the results I needed. Brought in a manager. Everybody doesn't like the new. I guess no one likes the new guy, the new Prime Minister, and so I sort of, when they realised he wasn't going anywhere, I did have a bit of a turnover. But the team I've ended up with is the best thing that ever happened. The team I've ended up with is fantastic. First time now I walk in and there's no one I'd like to see gone. It's everybody I want them to stay, and it's happy times. So you can look at it 2 ways, but I think it was just we were going through a growth phase and a change of management. Really, it sort of comes a bit down to you, Warwick. As your favourite saying is, if the team's growing and you can't be on the team, you generally tend to deselect yourself, and I think we've just had a bit of that.
And so going from, having mates and referrals in the industry to actually trying to employ people, and how has your recruitment changed in that process as far as really trying to get the right person for the job rather than someone that you just know?
Yeah, once again, I really wish Warwick wasn't in the room. Another wanky Warwick thing is the group interview. Group interview is amazing.
Yeah,
definitely a process that when he first came up with it, I thought was a crazy idea, but found it to be incredible in the fact that you can have 6 or 7 guys in a room, and it's like they, to use Warwick's word again, just deselect themselves. And every time I've run a group interview, the candidate, whoever I've ended up with, has been fantastic because they really do stand out in the crowd.
So we're just madly scrolling back through episodes here because, and this is the thing about the Tradies Business Show, is we have covered a lot of this stuff. Matter of fact, I think we've probably covered everything you need to know to run a great tradie business in the past 80 episodes or so.
So you're saying if I listen to more of these, I can stop paying you money? If you actually listen to
the show, you could give it a go, mate.
Yeah, let's do that.
But we're going to talk about your execution abilities in a minute and implementation skills. But if you go back to episode 32, we've talked about how to attract and retain the right staff, and that we've covered a number of episodes about people, because it really is one of the key ways to grow a tradie business. It's very hard to work more than about 70 or 80 hours of productive time a week and do your book work and your marketing and still have a life if you want to make more money or, build a bigger business if you're on your own. You have to have people involved.
Yes.
And that brings with it obviously all of those challenges about the whole mates thing and finding the right ones and keeping them on board. But I do want to talk about execution or implementation of stuff.
I'd just like to let everybody know he's smiling at the moment.
This is like the Great White going in for the final attack. So you already know, and I'll put this to our listeners as well. So wherever you are listening to this episode, you pretty much already know enough for you to have a business that's beyond your wildest dreams, right? Most people who have been in business for more than 10 minutes and survived the first couple of years, you know enough stuff to be able to do it a whole lot better than you're doing. But there's just some other things that get in the way of implementing that knowledge or the information that, honestly, there's a free podcast, there's 40 hours of content. If you listen to every episode and just implemented everything in this show, you would have a world-class trade business.
We should ask for a cut.
Yeah, we'll take a profit
Cut from all
share.
our listeners.
But nobody does it, right? No one will sit down and listen to every single episode of this show and do everything that we've said. No one will go to Google and watch all the videos and the seminars and all that stuff. What the hell goes on there, mate? From a tradie, why don't you guys do the things that you know you should be doing on a daily basis? You could be a very wealthy man after answering this question.
I can't answer it. If you were watching this, you could see my eyes roll into my head.
Yeah.
I don't know, Warwick.
I'm sure, Bridie, your wife would have a few ideas for you.
In all honesty, if somebody was to run our business and make it more profitable, it would be her.
Yeah.
Can you edit that bit out?
No, I'm gonna actually increase the volume on that bit so everybody hears it.
Thanks.
So what's some examples of things that, he should be doing that he's not?
Well, let's let Andrew answer that, because I reckon he knows.
That's the worst thing about
I reckon
this.
Andrew knows.
I think we all know. Prior to Warwick, I had another business coach, and you sit in a room and you pay this guy all the money, and you walk out, you've written notes, it's everything you know, and the same as everything we're trying to achieve now, it's everything you know and don't do. I don't know.
Well,
my biggest problem is focus on a particular job. It's almost like I need to not be there. And so I can do all the things. And yeah, he's smiling and raising his eyebrows.
His head just about nodded off his shoulders. He was waiting for the F word to come up.
Oh, the focus. Yeah. Cool. I think after
your focus
comes
needs
more
more
the F
focus.
word.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
Finances.
it. Just keeping focused on one little thing. And when the boys come running to you and I've stripped the bolt, the oil's leaking out of here.
Out you go. Where's Andrew in the workshop?
Yeah. So that's always our challenge.
Where's Andrew doing anher Andrew special out the front? Where's Andrew? He's off, dicking around with the computer.
Got to be honest, at the moment I'm wiring up a Land Cruiser that I really shouldn't be touching, and yeah, so this week's.
That's not mine.
No, it's a better one than yours.
Yeah, okay, rub that in.
So that's exactly what I did last week. I did it again. We had a big job come in, very important client. Been doing their work for 7 or 8 years, and boys were busy. Instead of telling the guy, give me another week with it and all the rest of it, and it's small job turned into a very big job. And Andrew's put up his hand and said, well, I'll do that and keep everybody else working. And I've got these other contracts I'm trying to get at the moment, and probably way more important things than one single Land Cruiser in my job. But
because you're on the verge of winning
we can't talk about too much
contract that is going to bring a lot of business to you.
Yeah, so pretty much I really should be setting the foundations for that and all the rest of it. And again, he's smiling and nodding. Instead, I am wiring up reverse cameras, dual batteries, and all cool stuff like that. But it's a really nice cruiser. Did I say that?
Which make you money, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and that I think is part of the challenge. Is we're so hardwired, not just as tradies but as business owners, to do what makes us money today. Because I've got bills to pay today, I've got wages to pay Friday, and there's a job I can make $400 profit or $1,000 profit, or if it's you, probably $2,000 profit.
Whoa.
But I can make some money, some cash out of that, and that's going to pay my bills, right? Going off and fart-assing around with YouTube videos or email marketing or team training or whatever isn't going to put any money in my bank account today, is it?
Very true. And my other thing is, I hate computers. I hate them. Me and emails just do not get along.
Really? Because I've received emails from you, so you must be able to
The ones I
drive it.
send from my phone work. The ones I send from my computer, I've pretty much been through 3 laptops a year.
Uh-huh.
I just not that kind of person. I want to ring somebody and talk to them, and it's really not a productive way of doing something. So I tend to put off all those crappy, wanky jobs, and if I can't find somebody else to do them, they don't get done. I've got a fantastic list of things to do.
Mm-hmm.
So getting back to you're saying about, really should have been focusing on this bigger contract instead you are in a car. One thing that I know that has helped me get some focus is, I say this thing is, what's the one thing that will make everything else unnecessary? So if I'm doing something and really there's something else
Win
I
lotto.
should be doing, buying a lotto ticket. But if I actually look at what am I doing, is this really going to get to the end result that I want, which is, a business that runs itself or whatever, it's actually looking at, is this the best use of my time right now? I'm sure you'd give similar advice.
I would.
Mm.
And some people would act on it. And this is where, you talked about the previous example of a business coach. I think, and where, we've changed up our relationship a bit, where I actually come into the business rather than sort of doing the whole remote training thing and then expecting you to go implement it. I know I sat in your office the other day and I saw how many tabs. So you can drive a computer, because I saw lots of eBay stores and online shopping things for bits for your... Anyway,
parts for customers.
For customer cars.
I'm trying to find the
Yeah.
cheapest stock, to be honest.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
Yes.
Some of them didn't look like stuff you'd normally sell, but anyway.
Are you a mechanic for not the electrician work? That's all I've got to say. Golf clubs are a necessity in an auto electrical workshop.
Exactly. But that's the thing, is we, I think, underestimate the impact that those little 5 to 25 minute segues have during our productive time. And I want to try and loop that back to what Michaela's talking about with the one thing. It's like, what's the one thing that I could do today that would make everything else unnecessary, so that you could pay someone to go buy you the golf clubs and bring them to you, right? Now that sounds a little wanky and decadent, but it's actually maximising your value. And I think you, along with a lot of the other trade business owners that I talk to, undervalue your time.
Yes.
And therefore you spend it doing things that perhaps are beneath your pay grade. And I don't mean to talk down your employees or, your subcontractors or anybody else, but honestly, as a business owner or a self-employed tradesperson, your pay grade is a lot higher than what you can earn fixing a pipe or a car or wiring a reversing camera. And so you literally need to be looking for the $300, the $500, the $1,000 an hour jobs, which is working on the big business deal, or sitting with someone who knows how to drive the email marketing and telling them what to do, and this has to go out today. How can we make this happen today? Because that's going to go to 1,500 email addresses and make me $10,000 in the next 12 months. That's the sort of thinking that we all need to get into as business owners, but I think particularly tradespeople.
And I think also, if you're thinking when you're wiring that reversing camera that you're actually losing money right now by doing that may help you shift your focus as well.
So you thought I was bad?
Mm.
Andrew's just looked at his watch.
I've just looked at my watch.
Scratched his arm and thought, didn't you say this would be about half hour and then we'd wrap up?
Yeah. It's time. It's lunchtime, isn't it? Yeah, that's all fair. Yeah.
So what can we do to help him? What do you think
Stop
you'd
looking
need?
at golf clubs? Don't play golf. Golf's terrible.
No, it's just one of those networking things.
Yeah, it takes too long.
Yeah, I know.
Do you know lots of networking meetings only go for 90 minutes, not 6 hours?
Yeah. We can't all spend all day in the CrossFit box.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. We might wrap the show up now. So, look.
How can you get more focus?
I believe it comes back to planning the tasks, but also your time. And setting time aside for goofing off, looking at golf clubs, or 27-inch rims for your freaking Ranger or whatever you drive, or your what car have you got these days? I don't know. You change them over so quickly, mate. Mm-hmm. But you need goofing off time, right? Everybody needs to have a bit of just checking out mentally, doing some stuff that you probably shouldn't be doing. It's cool. It's fun. It's it's nice to look at shiny new golf clubs. I can't identify with that personally, but whatever. So set some time aside to do that when it's most appropriate. At 10:30 in the morning is probably not the most appropriate time to be doing that. Those are, I guess, particularly in trade businesses, we have golden hours, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. perhaps, and treat it like a work day. But instead of filling your day with billable time and productive jobs, and I just did the two fingers in the air, quote unquote thing, is fill it with other business owner productive jobs. Because if you went and looked at, and it doesn't have to be the level of Bill Gates and Richard Branson, but if you just looked at bigger businesses and the CEOs of those businesses that are running well and had a look at their job description and the things that they spend time on in their day, I guarantee it's not doing tax returns or writing financial plans or trading stocks.
I think it's lunches and golf.
Probably, yeah. Which justifies the time on the golf clubs. I love the way you looped that back, mate.
Yeah. Just because I know Briohny will be listening to this. I'll dig myself out of this somehow.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. But their tasks would be very different to what most of us end up spending our time on, putting out fires and doing all the other stuff. Now, yeah, they've got a big team behind them, but a lot of those businesses started out small or smaller. So I think it's just being more judicious with what we spend our time on and planning out our days much more tightly, which to a lot of people sounds like hell on earth. Oh, so I'm going to map out my day to within an inch of its life. It's going to constrain me. But I had this conversation with James the painter, I think not on the episode, but off air basically, is he said to me, but don't you find that just demoralising that you've planned your calendar out and you've got blocks of time for marketing and finance and team meetings and training and all this sort of stuff. It's it just sounds so constrained and boring. But the cool thing is, if you do that and get really good at it, you can squeeze enough into 4 days of your week to be massively productive as a business owner and have Friday as a goofing off day and Saturday and Sunday and not have to work those days because your whole life is just chaos. So to him, that was a bit of a, so Fridays I could just sleep in, go for a motorbike ride, play golf, whatever.
Sleep in. He obviously doesn't have a 2-year-old.
No, he doesn't.
So you're saying no golf between Monday and Thursday?
That's right.
So
let's drop the G word.
Or, J for jet ski or whatever it is, right?
Ooh,
but actually, look, it's having the discipline. If you want to get fit, you have to actually go and do something.
Yeah, I guess that has been my challenge when you are on the floor and small. I guess you are an employee to your customers, and you know what needs to be done. And you just, everything's in front of you. You got to fix the problem that's in front of you, and then when you do, I guess, move into this style, you've almost got to look for your job. At what's the, I guess Michaela's, what's the thing you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is quite easy to get sidetracked on not just the cool stuff, but just the day-to-day stuff when somebody comes running to you with a problem, instead of saying, "That's what I pay for, go deal with it," getting up out of the chair and doing it yourself. So that's, I guess, probably much more of where my time goes than you and what we've been talking about.
And I know I love to, take it with you, mate.
Taking about 10 minutes of my day and turned it into sounding like it's 8 hours. So,
But that 10 minutes and another 10 minutes putting out a fire and another 10 minutes, doing an Andrew special, and all those things turn into 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 hours in a week. And then, I turn up next week. It's like, so how's the email marketing going?
What email marketing? Why?
Yes. So I think that really is about having the discipline to, first of all, work out what is your position description as the business owner. And for everybody listening to this episode, that will be different depending where you're at in your business journey. For some of our listeners, that you're still that sole trader, man in a van, but you should still Stay there. Don't listen to Andrew. How many days did you have in Fiji, mate? And the business made as much or more while you were away as it did when you were here? Yep. So, yeah, definitely stay as a man in a van. But yeah, get really clear on what your role is in the business and what are all the tasks. Do that when you're the sole trader, because then as you do grow, it's easy to just cut chunks of that out and give it to somebody else. Say, there you go, that's what you're doing.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I could really drop onto somebody who is that man in a van, looking back on myself, is set it up right from the beginning. Get read the books. Yeah, I probably shouldn't say any names, but some of those marketing books and so on, and definitely get some processes in place. Get your employee contracts written early and all that kind of thing, and don't employ your mates.
Yep.
Because they will just diffuse your time.
So I think he's just answered what's the one thing you'd like to tell 1,000 tradies in a room.
Kind of, but we'll give him another bite.
Yep.
Yeah.
1,000 tradies in the room, mate. What would you like to tell
1,000 tradies in the room. You should have gone to uni. No, I'm joking. That's not true at all.
Yeah, you could be like me and end up doing a podcast for tradies.
Yeah. Anyway, we're picking on me now, so we'll stick with that. But 1,000 tradies in a room, yeah, really just you've got to set your goal kind of thing of the size you want to go. I've just fumbled my way through, and I'm still taking on more than I can chew. If I win this contract, it's sort of like I'm doing an Andrew again of, yeah, let's get this contract, and I'm not even thinking if there's money in it, if there's anything. There's just heaps of work, so let's go get it. So, yeah, trying to set a goal and work towards that, and maybe not a business goal, maybe a life goal. And we've set a target for ourselves, not financial, just a time off thing with the kids, and where Briohny keeps reminding me every day when I try and lose focus on that's what we're trying to achieve. But yeah, just find a goal and work towards it, and maybe not just doing heaps and heaps of work, because sometimes that can be a bit crap.
So, Andrew, thanks for coming in and
Is that it?
submitting to the
it
process.
wasn't so bad.
We're going to let you go now, mate. Please don't go to the bar after this and drown your sorrows, mate. But look, I just want to, in wrapping up, say that you have built a bloody amazing business, and not just because you're a golfer, but to go from a sole trader, man in a van, to where you are now in a reasonably short space of time is no mean feat, mate. So you have done some really cool stuff. You've got a great team, great position there on the Sunshine Coast, and I'm sure we'll see much bigger and better things from you. If people want to find out more about your business, and I know Andrew has done some marketing, so he does have a good website.
Should we ask him for an Andrew special?
For
our listeners?
Yeah, just ring up, say you spoke to me, and I told you I'd get you a good deal. No, let's not do that. But we are in the middle of rebranding at the moment, so we're same name.
And you've used video and stuff in the past, and I know we're working towards some more of
that's
that
on
as
the
well.
list.
That's on the list, along with the golf clubs. But to find out more about you and your businesses, where would people go to do that, mate?
I'll just give you my personal mobile number. No, I guess our website's, really the Midas thing's just a franchise thing, so you can call Midas Maroochydore store, that's for me, or the, Accelerate Mobile Auto Electrics, and hopefully something else soon.
And the website for Accelerate, mate?
amae.net.au.
amae.net.au.
Sorry, a bit too fast.
So go check it out. Yeah, they're driving, mate.
Yep.
So go and check it out, and we'll put the links there to Andrew's website in the show notes, and a picture of the golf clubs that he's about to buy. Or have you already bought them, mate?
No golf clubs.
No golf clubs. Mate, thanks again for coming in. Been great to chat with you, and I know there's some great stuff in there for our listeners as well.
Oh, I can't wait to take it back and get focused.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks.
So there you have Andrew Janes from Midas Maroochydore and Accelerate Auto Electrics. Michaela, should we wrap that up?
We should. And one thing I want to say, I didn't say it during the episode, was, there's a big thing about focus in there, and I just want to recommend some tools for some of our listeners that perhaps were wanting to get more focus that made a big difference for me. So 2 books. One called Essentialism, which I've actually got for Warwick to read, so that he stops wasting so much time.
Oh.
And The One Thing. And The One Thing is a really, really easy read about just simply doing the one thing that's going to make a difference. So if you really struggle in this area and want to increase your productivity and focus, check out those 2 books. Don't ask me who the authors are. I gave you the names, that's enough.
We'll put the links in the show notes to today's episode.
We will. And another thing that if you, one tool that I've just installed on my computer is called Rescue Time. And it's on a Mac. I don't know if you can get a PC equivalent, but it actually gives you a weekly productivity report.
Ouch.
Of where you've been. So
right.
It tells you how much you've been on Messenger or emails, what websites, and categorises them, so social media, and then it ranks it all by productivity. And you can customise it so that you know exactly how much.
Really?
And you get a weekly report in a graph. And it is the most eye-opening thing that you'll ever see.
I don't want to see that.
It just runs in the background, and all of a sudden you get this report, and it says you've spent, 8 hours on Facebook. That's a whole day.
Yeah.
Or,
there's not even that much good content on Facebook.
No. But all of a sudden, in a graph form, you can see exactly how you're spending your time when you're on the computer. And it's very, very confronting. And it's free.
And that's called Rescue Time.
Rescue Time app. So grab that, install on your computer, it runs in the background.
That's for Mac users.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's a PC one, like
Probably
I said.
not, because PCs aren't as cool.
No, that's cool. So, and then you get emailed of a Monday morning, and you go, "Oh my god, look at that week."
It's a good focus tool, isn't it?
Oh, it's awesome. And you go, "Oh, I really want to get to this percentage of unproductive time," and we communicate a lot via Messenger. And one week it was just like, "Oh my god, is that how many hours we spent planning our show via text message?"
Yikes! Be easier if we just rang each other up.
Probably it would have been.
Seems so much slower though, and that's I guess where we can get fooled into thinking that some of these instant communication platforms are more efficient and faster. But it's the temptation is there to spend more time on it.
That's right, and then you're doing that and something else, and you're not really present, are you, in what you're doing, and not having an end. So, just a couple of tools I thought of while we were talking to Andrew.
Cool. And if you would like some more stuff to help you get focused, or maybe some more things that you could focus on to help you improve your tradie business, it's really, when I say this, it sounds a bit like I'm one of those radio voiceover guys, And
You're not that good.
And I don't know why it's in an American accent all the time. But anyway, if you want some more gear to help you with your business, go to a really cool resource for tradies called the Tradies Business Toolkit. It's $1 for the first 30 days, US dollars, that is, because yes, people, we have overseas tradies that follow the show and are in the toolkit.
And we have had a few complaints lately.
Yeah, so look, we're sorry about the US dollar thing with PayPal and all that. It just gets really messy if we go picking different currencies, and then, anyway, it's US dollars, okay? So that makes it about 300 Australian dollars, I think, for the first 30 days.
But still worth it.
Totally. But it's $1 for the first 30 days, and then it's $27 a month after that, when Wazza fixes up the website. So if you get in now, you might snag a $10 a month glitch. But it's $27 a month, guys. Great value. We've got some awesome conversations happening in the private Facebook group. We're going to start putting together some exclusive videos for Toolkit members. We have extended interviews with some of our guests that we've had on the show. There's templates you can download. We're talking about exclusive events for you guys, meetups and all that sort of stuff down the track. Michaela just rolled her eyes at me because I just made that up. But you should totally join up. And you know what? If it's crap, you can just cancel it. And we'll stop taking the money out of your account.
Cool. So tradiesbusinesstoolkit.com.
Sweet.
That's it.
Till next time.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Tradies Business Show with Warwick Bidwell and Michaela Clark. Want to get off the tools and into true business ownership? Find out how at tradiesbusinessshow.com.